Female friendships are some of the most important relationships that a person will ever have in their life. All women need a tribe. This tribe could be as large as 10 female friends and even as small as 1 or 2. Throughout my entire life, I've had various tribes of women that I've associated myself with. Women that I befriended and built lifelong relationships with. Some that I believe were there for seasons in my life, but not necessarily supposed to be there for the entire series. For example, I had a tribe of female friends that I had throughout high school and into my college years. After college, I had a tribe of female friends that I had during my post-college, early 20s binge drinking days. And lastly, I have a tribe of women now that I consider my friends, that are my more mature, motherly, adult friends. Over the years, has the tribe gotten smaller? Have some people transitioned from one tribe to the other? Yes. But overall, I've maintained the notion throughout my entire life that female friendships are very important to our development as human beings, especially if you're a woman. One person in particular fell into one tribe. And despite being in that tribe for the course of about 4 or 5 years, she kind of transcended just a part of the tribe and became, without a doubt, one of the closest things that I've truly ever had to a best friend. This is the one with the unplanned best friend. As kids, we're taught that you have a best friend. That best friend could be someone who you accidentally became friends with on the playground because you both got picked last in dodgeball. Maybe it was someone who had the same Barbie dream house as you when you were a kid, or maybe someone who you played a sport with or was in an after-school activity with. Me growing up as a kid, I didn't have a lot of friends. I mean, I had a twin sister that was essentially my quote-unquote best friend the majority of my life, but I didn't have any truly quote-unquote best friends. I wasn't one of those young girls that had slumber parties in grade school where we stayed up all night and talked about boys and did each other's hair. No. My idea of a good time on a Friday night when I was in grade school was watching old Turner Classic Movies with my grandma and talking about old Hollywood scandals. When I got a little older and went to high school, yes, I had a best friend. I actually had 3. And as you guys heard last season on the one with the Fab Five, that friendship went from high school to college and then later disintegrated as we became older and grew into our early 20s. When I left high school, I went to college for a year. And I had a quote-unquote best friend in college. Just a girl that I was relatively close to. We had a lot in common, but things kind of fell apart. Mostly because I ended up falling in love with her. And trying to mix friendship with love doesn't always work like it does on TV. Lastly, after I came home from college, I had a couple of best friends. People that I worked with, people that I considered really good friends, but it wasn't until I came across one individual that I unexpectedly became enthralled with this person. Not romantically, not sexually, but she became that thing I'd always wanted, a best friend. And ironically enough, growing up, we actually knew each other. We just never actually hung out before. She was part of the group of people that were too cool to be friends with me. And that's why it's kind of ironic that as adults, we actually became closer than sisters. After coming home from college, I had to get a job. Naturally, bills weren't going to pay themselves. I was essentially part one of the breadwinners of my family after I came home from college and knew that I had to go out there and get a job. Worked a couple of bullshit fast food gigs, attempted to work at the mall, and then lastly, I got hired at a local pizza place. And it was there that I came across 3 other members of my tribe, but it was where I met one individual who definitely surpassed that tribe. And what awkwardly enough started out as just a work friendship quickly turned into something else completely. And I think it took the both of us by surprise. I guess you could say the beginning of our friendship started the week of St. Patrick's Day. I had started working at this place, I want to say January or February. So by St. Patrick's Day, I'd kind of gotten the ropes. I had, hung out with two of my other coworkers. But one night, it was St. Patrick's Day, and while everyone else spent their entire day drinking, me and my coworker spent the whole day at the job. So, mind you, I was kind of looking forward to just getting off, going home, curling up on the couch with a beer and watching whatever movie my grandma wanted to watch. But then my coworker asked me if I wanted to go get a drink with her and her boyfriend after work. Now, if you had known the type of person I was as a kid growing up, the cool girls never wanted to hang out with me. They never wanted to do anything with me. So the fact that one of the former cool girls at school actually wanted to hang out with me, and it wasn't a prank, it wasn't some kind of full-fledged joke, I was kind of taken aback. I was actually kind of nervous. But I said, yeah, sounds like a plan. She said, cool. So after I got done work, I walked home and found myself something relatively cute to wear. Nothing too flashy. I mean, my neighborhood wasn't exactly, Upper East Side, but I did want to look okay. So I grabbed my signature skinny jeans, cami, jacket, and boots, and decided to take the walk back to the job to meet this girl so that we could walk to the bar. This was like my grade school dream come true. The cool girl actually wanted to sit with me at lunch, or whatever metaphor I guess you could use to that effect. But it was kind of cool. I mean, over the course of the last month or so working together, we had gotten to know each other, realized that the main reason why we weren't cool growing up was because it wasn't what was socially acceptable at the time for grade school politics. But we actually realized we had a lot in common. We liked some of the same shows. We had similar, family situations. We both were really close with our grandmothers, had relatively good relationships with our siblings, but not all the time. But it was just nice to know that the outward appearances of our situations wasn't exactly what everyone else thought it was. And that two completely opposite people that were basically raised to think that they weren't allowed to be cool with one another actually became kind of close. So we went to this bar, had a couple of drinks, and really hit it off. We were talking and laughing and having a great time. And then she asked if I wanted to go play pool with her and her boyfriend at her boyfriend's job. Her boyfriend worked for, I think it was a contracting company. That was mostly what all the guys did. In my neck of the woods, that's kind of the only job I think they had for a lot of the guys around there was contracting, plumbing, working for companies like that. So I said, sure, why not? It was still kind of early, not really much to do. So we went and hung out, played some pool, had a couple more beers, and just really had a really decent time. So later on, a couple of weeks later, she asked if I wanted to hang out with them again. And what kind of started off as just a one-time thing actually became a regular occurrence. We hung out, we went over each other's houses, we hung out after work, we spent hours talking, we really became insanely close. She was one of these people that really I admired because she seemed like such an asshole to everyone else, but she really was one of the strongest, most genuinely kind people I'd ever met. She was essentially raising her niece by herself, and she was basically taking care of the entire family. She had a great relationship with her boyfriend. They were actually goals for me for a very long time, was to find someone who I could love as much as she loved him. So I want to say about a year into us working together and being cool, we got the opportunity to work at another place together. So we were both working at both jobs. We were both going back and forth between these different places. We were hanging out all the time, and it really became completely just like normal for us. She was there for me when I met my first real girlfriend, I'm going to say, my on again, off again girlfriend who I met on Tinder. She was there for me when I met her, when we went out on our first date, when she broke my heart for the first time. She was there for me when my grandmother died. She came to the funeral. She supported me through that, which had to be one of the hardest experiences of my life. She took me under her wing and taught me a lot just about life in general. Taught me how to do my makeup, how to dress. I picked up a lot of her mannerisms, and before we knew it, we were basically like best friends, but more like sisters. It was just so natural, and I never had that with anyone before. And we didn't even want anything from each other. Like, it wasn't like other friendships I had where we would be cool and then the next minute we wouldn't be cool, or we would spend all of this time together, or we wouldn't do anything at all. We made time for each other. We supported each other. I came to her niece's birthday parties. She came to my house when we had events. It was just normal. As time went on, things got a little different. She stopped working at the second job with me and just solely worked at the first one. So we didn't exactly get to hang out as much as we used to. I got transferred to another location, so we didn't get to hang out as much as we used to. And then when I got with my wife, I moved out of the neighborhood, so we didn't really get to chill as much anymore. But that didn't stop us from staying in contact with each other. I always thought for the longest time that friendships had to be, you're constantly in someone's face, you're constantly in someone's orbit. Like, there's no way that you can realistically be friends with someone if you're not constantly in contact with them. Like, you can't have a friend that you don't speak to every day. You can't be friends with someone who you don't go out with on a regular basis. And she was honestly one of the first adult friendships that I ever had, like real grown up, like real grown women type shit. Not just like, oh yeah, this is someone that I drink with on the weekends. This is someone I smoke with on the weekends. Like, no, she was someone that even when we didn't work together anymore, I knew that I could pick up the phone and call her if I needed something. If I needed to vent about my job or my relationship or my family, I knew I could pick up the phone and call her. And even if she was doing 107 things, she would still always answer the phone. I knew that if she was working and I needed a place to hide out or whatever, just for a couple hours and just forget everything stupid that was going on in my life, I knew I could go to the job and just sit in there with her. She always looked out for me in a way that I don't think any other friend ever had. She taught me how to ask for what I deserved as far as pay. She knew my worth when it came to the job. She helped me really believe in myself as a person. And she never let me feel like I was a bother or I was a problem, which a lot of friends actually did. She never judged me for the stupid shit that I was doing. And even when everyone else turned their back on me, when I got involved with the wrong people, she never left my side. Even though we couldn't always talk on the phone all the time because, she got pregnant and had a baby and started a family, and I got engaged and moved out of the neighborhood, we never stopped being there for each other. And even now, we may not speak all the time, but it doesn't matter. I can pick up the phone if I need to and call her. I can pull up to her house at any time and I know that she'll answer the door. And it's ironic because this is one of those people when I was a kid that I used to hate. Because she was so pretty and cool and she had all these friends and she was popular, and I was this dweeby fat girl that used to read books for fun. And I never thought in a million years that same person who I used to envy and that person who I used to aspire to be like would one day be like the sister I never had. I feel like as adults, it's so hard to make friends past like the age of like 23. I've actually said this a couple of times to a lot of different people. I feel like making friends as an adult is probably one of the hardest things to do because, everyone's kind of already, become who they are. There isn't really a lot of room for growth once you hit a certain age. Like, you are who you are, whether that's a good person, a bad person, or indifferent. And sometimes it's really hard to make friends when you're already so stuck in your ways that opening your mind up to new people and new experiences can sometimes be difficult. And as someone who is on Bumble BFF to meet friends as an adult, I can attest to the fact that it really is difficult. It's hard to find a tribe at 27. It's hard to find a best friend when you're 27 and you have stepchildren and a wife and a family and responsibilities. It's hard to find female friends and companions to do things with when you can only hang out between the hours of 8 and 3. You can't hang out on the weekends because kids got sports and birthday parties, and you can't be out all late anymore because you have to wake up and get the kids ready for school. And sometimes it can be frustrating to find that. And for me, as someone who always found it very hard to make friends with people that also weren't part of the LGBTQ community, having a friend who was straight, a best friend who was straight, who never judged me for my sexual preferences, who never judged me for the shit that I did, who never tried to turn me out because they thought it was embarrassing to be friends with a dyke. It was refreshing. My tribe from high school was always trying to change me in a lot of ways. They were always embarrassed by me sometimes, and I can't blame them because I was a train wreck. I mean, I already stand out in a crowd with them. So to be the standout and also be a raging fucking lunatic with mental health issues and low-key drug and alcohol problem at 25, it is kind of hard to, fit in with a group of people that you realize you're kind of growing apart from. And with me and her, we never did that. Yeah, we both went in different directions. She got pregnant, had a baby, started a family, and I got married and kind of was put into a bonus family. And we both kind of, went our own ways. And although we don't see each other every day or get a chance to really, link up as much as we want to me, it's the most adult friendship I've ever had. And it was the most adult relationship that I ever had, despite the fact that it never went past more than just me aimlessly flirting. Because trust me, if she would have gave me the time of day, I would have smashed. But that's just me. So I guess the moral of this story, guys, is don't be so hasty in calling certain people your best friend. Although the little nerdy kid in you might want to just cling on to whoever gives you enough attention, and you don't want to let go because I say all of this to say that sometimes the people that make the most difference in your life, the people that truly impact your life, don't come in the boxes or in the shape of the people you think they should. Sometimes the people that you think are just supposed to be there for a moment in time actually end up surpassing all the times of all the people that you put in the more serious boxes. And in my case, this unplanned best friend, who I thought was just a small role in my story, has genuinely become one of the more important, pivotal people in my entire life. Because they taught me that friendship didn't have to equal give or take. It didn't have to be something as trivial as this is someone that always gets me drunk or someone that always gets me high. It was deeper than that. It had more substance than that. And sometimes I laugh because I feel like I wasn't as good a friend to this girl as I should have been because I was too busy chasing other people for their friendship. And now looking back on it, I realized that there were a couple of times that I probably should have picked spending time with her over spending time with temporary people. But she's still one of the best things that have ever happened to me. And I don't regret a single moment that I spent being completely and utterly enthralled with her and all the bullshit that came along with it. Make sure you subscribe, and follow the One With podcast on Anchor, Spotify, and Instagram. And make sure to tune in next Monday at 9 p.m. for the next episode. This has been Liz with The One With.